You don't believe in coincidences.
No.
You believe in the fact that if we are here right now, it's for a specific reason.
Yes.
There's got to be a reason behind this.
Yes. I can tell you one story in my life that will exemplify why I believe that. I was when I practiced law back in California, my partner and I owned an airplane. And he was flying me back and forth. I'm not a pilot. So he was flying me back and forth from Van Nuys to Orange County every day, 3 days a week for 6 months. And I never missed that flight, 3 days a week. And one Tuesday, I got sick. And I said, Lou, you're going to have to fly down there and cover for me tomorrow. So I stayed home in bed, and he flew down. And on his way home, he had an in-flight fire on the airplane and crashed into a house and killed himself.
This is the day that you got sick. Of all these times, flying 3 times a week.
Correct.
Of all those days, of all that time, for 6 months, this is the one day that you get sick.
That's right.
You seem to me like a very healthy guy. You don't get sick all the time. You get sick that day.
I don't get sick very often either.
And that day, the plane catches fire, and he dies.
He died.
This is the Entrepreneurs and Fuego show. We're documenting the journey of incredible entrepreneurs and incredible stories, one digital footprint at a time. I should say to people who you are, Jeffery Matz.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Your story is incredible. And did that make you, how did that make you feel? Did your whole life, did you rethink your whole life at that point? What happened?
First of all, I was depressed for a very long time because Lou and I were very close friends and business partners.
Did you feel guilty?
In some ways. But, you know, it's one of those circumstances. Lou was not only a pilot, but he was an engineer. And he would, when they would change the oil on the plane, they said, you do this every 100 hours. He would do it every 50 hours. And any time that plane went in for mechanical repair, he was there to watch. And this fire was caused by a loose B-nut on top of the cowl of the engine. And it's just one of those things. They didn't tighten it enough, and the gasoline leaked out and caught fire and burned the wing off.
That's incredible. Let's talk about your entrepreneurial life.
Okay.
What have you done in your latest project as far as buying mobile home, paper, and so on and so forth?
Well,
tell us a little bit about it.
I'll give you the nickel version.
Yes, please.
It started out as a young child. My father raised me all through those years, only telling me one piece of advice. He said, it doesn't matter what you become in life, just work for yourself. He said, don't work for somebody else. My father was a mechanical engineer, and he was always working for someone else and was always at their mercy, and he just drilled that into me. So I went to college not knowing what I wanted to do, and and my grandfather told me, stay in school until you figure it out. He said, it doesn't matter what you do, just stay in school until you figure it out. I ended up in school for 11 full-time years in college. I have 4 degrees, including a Doctor of Laws. And so when I got out of college, I became a trial lawyer in California, and I pioneered a field called toxic chemical poisoning cases. If you happen to see the movie Erin Brockovich.
Sure.
In fact, if I can tell you another story.
Go ahead, sure.
Erin Brockovich's boss, Ed Mazurek, in real life was a friend of mine. Our offices were not far from each other. And around 1990, he came and took me out to lunch, and he offered me the case that was in that movie from Hinckley, California.
Sure.
And I told him I was going through a whole lot during that time. I had too much on my plate. I couldn't help him with it. But I helped him refer it to some friends of mine who I knew were good in the business. And as the movie describes, they settled the case about 2 years later, and the attorney's fee was over $94 million.
And of course, it was referred to some other because it cost a lot of money to litigate this case.
Oh, it does, yeah. But that's probably the worst business decision of my life.
when the settlement was announced, did he take you out to lunch?
He did. He did. And he rubbed it in.
That must have been the most spectacular lunch in the world, and the bitterest water with lime that you probably tasted.
No doubt about it.
And so, all right, so that must have taught you some kind of lesson in entrepreneurship, and then you keep going on. And what else do you do?
Well, I try to maintain a positive attitude. If you keep looking back and you regret your mistakes, you can bury yourself.
Yeah.
And so I always try to look forward. And I take the lessons I've learned from the mistakes I've made, and there have been many, and I try to build my life and make it better from those lessons.
Don't look back.
No, don't look back. So I retired in around the late 90s. I was raising my 2 daughters here by myself after a rather unhappy divorce, and I wasn't licensed to practice here. So I retired my law license and got into becoming a SCORE advisor. SCORE is a branch of the Small Business Administration, and they have chapters in every city. And the chapters are made up of old guys like me that have had some success in business, and we provide free mentorship to small businesses and nonprofits. I happen to get involved mostly with nonprofits, and I did probably 300 groups I mentored in terms of building their infrastructure, becoming more profitable, and becoming more sustainable, and learned a lot in the process myself.
And now you have an incredible business, a nice niche business that you developed.
I absolutely love it. I buy and sell. I don't. My wife actually is the broker, but I am kind of the general manager of the company, and we buy and sell mobile homes. And that I fell into that. You know, again, we talked about, before we started, we talked about how fate sort of can direct your life. I was bored silly. I don't do retirement very well. And so Lucy and I went to a Rich Dad, Poor Dad seminar.
Yeah.
You've heard of that outfit. And it was a 3-day, 10-hour-a-day seminar.
Oh, yeah.
And it was all about flipping houses, you know, buying and rehabbing and reselling for a profit. And they spent one short segment, about an hour, on mobile homes. And the guy said, starting out, he said, "Do you realize that more than 1/3 of homeowners in America own mobile homes?"
That did it.
And I couldn't believe that statistic. And then I took a ride out to Mesa, and you can drive down University Avenue or Main Street or Apache Trail out there and just see miles and miles of mobile homes. It's amazing. And I'd never heard anybody, I had never been in a mobile home park. I didn't know anything about mobile homes. So I took about a year, and I found myself a mentor, and I just followed him around and drained his brain and learned everything I could. I read all the law on the subject, all the regulations, and it's a business that you can get into for very little money if you study the rules and really figure out how the game is played. It's very easy. The deals go very quickly, and it's very profitable.
And you get paid very fast.
Very fast.
Even if you don't have any money, they can find somebody like you who can refer the deal to somebody like you to put it together. Is that?
Yeah, I actually teach a class on Thursday. There's an outfit called Wealth Investor Network that holds seminars on flipping homes. They're at the Asria Center on 24th Street every Thursday night at 6 o'clock. And so they've invited me to teach about what I know about mobile homes.
You become the mobile home expert.
Well, some people call me that, but I really love to teach, so that's very fulfilling for me. And our company offers to these folks, anybody that's interested, we can show you how to get into the business with no money, with a small amount of effort, but you do have to prepare, and you do have to learn certain things.
And I think that's the lesson in life, right? You have to prepare, and you have to learn a few things in life if you were going to be successful or get a chance to.
There was a judge in the Bronx. His name will come to me, I'm sure, in a moment, but he used to teach lawyers how to try cases. And he said there maybe are 2 or 3 people in the whole planet that are gifted trial lawyers. They just know how to do it. He said, but there's thousands of lawyers that are really, really good. And what makes them really good, in one word, is preparation. He says preparation is the key to life and if you want to be successful.
I get a feeling we could be here for hours and hours and hours because I'm sure you got a lot more stories.
Oh, I can talk. You give me a microphone and an audience, you're in trouble.
And with that, we're out.
Welcome to the remix. Prestige.